Hello there, I'm Tommy. Welcome to Blitz Transmissions. This is episode 16 of the Blitzcast. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, but mostly Merry Christmas to all members of the Blitz Brigade and all beyond. I love Christmas time. It is my favorite time of year, hence the festive garb on this episode of the Blitzcast. Before we get into the content of this episode, make sure that if you are not subscribed, you subscribe to Blitz Transmissions. I've got awesome Star Wars content coming out all the time. Make sure to check out my social media, all of which is linked in the description below, and also make sure that if you'd like to become a member of the Rancor Battalion channel membership and see some of my action figure reviews early, you check out the channel membership link in the description below. Join my Discord as well. Join that Discord. I'm not going to go over explaining the rest of the social media because if you're familiar with social media, you'll know what the links lead you to. So, Jen, I'm here with you again. You are the regular co-host of this podcast now. Logan has been begging me to take him out of the dungeon. We will take Logan out of the dungeon very soon as I feel like driving over to go get him. Jen, how's things? What's new?
Today was my last day of work before Christmas break, which is awesome. So very excited about my week and a half that I have off. Very excited for the Christmas holiday season.
Yep.
We have lots of things planned, family stuff planned, so very excited about that. What else? New Year's.
New Year, new me. Stuff. I also have a cold, definitely a head cold or something. So if I'm a little stuffy or if I'm coughing this episode, that will be why. And Jen just had a cold about 2 weeks ago. Remember when I told you guys to pray for her? Well, now I have it, so pray for me.
Prayers.
Blessings. Jen also has a jingle bell on her hat.
Yeah.
If you haven't heard it by now.
I'll try not to
move your head. Just stay still. Your neck is going to be all sore. So yeah, here we are. We are in another week of Star Wars. Again, Merry Christmas to everybody. I'm absolutely obsessed with Christmas, if you couldn't tell. And I just love the time of year. And you know what really makes me happy is Christmas and Star Wars. When I get to put those two things together, I become a very happy little elf. So we're going to talk about some Skeleton Crew this week. We've got really no real news or behind the scenes stuff on any Star Wars projects that are worth reporting on this week. So today's discussion is going to be solely around Episode 4 of Skeleton Crew. Episode title is Can't Say I Remember No At-Atin. Jen.
It's a really good impression.
Thank you. I can't wait for SM33's action figure to come out. How are we feeling going into Episode 4 Skeleton Crew? This marks the halfway point of the series being completed. So how do you feel about it?
Definitely was a lot more exciting than last episode.
For sure.
We're rolling along, which I appreciate. We got some great Neel moments this episode.
Neel Nation, baby. Neel Nation.
Yeah, I'm at that level of adoration that I really want some Neel merch now. Yeah, great lore sprinkled in, some tidbits that we can start making predictions about. It really pushed us through a little bit more than I think last episode did.
For sure.
So, very exciting stuff.
Yeah. For me, I've been loving Skeleton Crew. Again, like you said, the third episode for me was a little bit, not unenjoyable by any means. It just wasn't as hype as the first few episodes. So now we're here at episode 4, and I'm feeling very, very excited for this episode. We had a lot of lore dumped on us in this episode here. I'm double checking. I feel like we are on episode 3 or episode 5.
Episode 4.
We are on episode 4? Okay. See, this is why Jen runs the show and I just hang out, you know?
Yeah, because it was the 2 and then...
Yeah, you're right. Yep, 2, 3, 4. I'm losing my mind. Like I said, I'm not feeling 100%, so it is what it is. How do we feel about this episode specifically, Jen? We happy with this one? We feel like we're going to project ourselves into the second leg of the season nicely here?
Yeah, I think there was some, like, little bits of lore that maybe was a little bit unexpected this episode. So at least my predictions kind of steered a little bit.
Good.
So that's exciting. That's always exciting. You don't want to predict the entire series and then just be completely correct.
Definitely.
You know? You want, even if you are somewhat correct, you want some twists and turns there.
Absolutely.
So I'm happy about that because that gives us more things to discuss and it gives us more excitement to watch the next episode.
Absolutely. Yeah, something that I've really enjoyed about this series is that every episode it seems like the lore kind of deepens and the plot gets more complex, which at the same time, though, you're getting fed this lore and you're getting fed these story beats and these twists and turns as they go along. For me, the biggest one was that At-Aden is not the only treasure planet that is in this series. That was a huge point for me. And obviously we know that because when we get into the episode, I said to Jen, I was like, wow, like we're already back. Like that was quick. So I don't know where the story's going to go from here. I thought we were back at At-Aden. Actually, we are on a planet that's pretty much like a clone planet to At-Aden called At-Akron. Not to be confused with Akron, Ohio. That was the first thing that popped in my head. It was cool. And so what did you feel about this plot twist that there's not only At-Aden, there's several other planets as well that all start with At?
I think this is what I meant by it veered a little bit, so my predictions are kind of changing.
Yeah.
That tells me that they're almost like experiment planets.
Okay.
The jingle.
You know, it's hard to be Italian when you talk with your hands, and you're very expressive when you talk and have a jingle bell on the end of your hat. I tucked
it in.
Very nice.
So I feel like that tells me that it's almost a social experiment. Like, okay. I kind of told you this when we were watching the episode, like, if every planet is exactly the same way and they're trying to create some type of society at each planet where there's this supervisor with a supervisor tower that really just holds all the information about all the other planets, that seems to me like it's like they're like, what would happen if there's 7 identical planets, but maybe there's something different, or maybe the people start catching on to what's really going on, which we don't know what's really going on, and that's why they're destroyed, like at Akron.
Yeah, so I think in what we've seen with this planet is the barrier is really just a planet surrounding like laser system, not so much a defense laser system, but a system that like destroys the planet. Clearly everything is destroyed here, and it wasn't from anything on planet. I know they have that big defense cannon on top of the school, but I think that whatever destroyed the society here, obviously, you know, we know it happened a long time ago, as opposed to where things take place in this series. But you know, we have yet to see what the outside galaxy is like, so we don't really know 100% where this places in the Star Wars timeline. We know it's probably after the original trilogy. I'll get into that because of the designs of the armor that a lot of the soldiers are wearing in the show in this episode. However, you know, there's a lot of intrigue here, and I like that we're building that intrigue because certain things are just happening like the characters know about it, as opposed to the direction and the writers feeling the need to make sure to spoon feed you everything and explicitly explaining to you right from the get-go what everything is. I like this intrigue because it makes us talk about it more, like you said. We have these conversations more about what this is, and we theory craft and things like that. And that's one of the best things about Star Wars is all the theory crafting.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it is definitely after the original trilogy.
Yeah, for sure. We know that for a fact.
Yeah, because it's talking about the New Republic and all that good stuff. One of my theories that I told you was I think there isn't a supervisor at all.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a smart one.
I think that's just like a fearmonger type of rumor that they share with the community so that people stay in line.
You don't think SM-33's captain is...
No.
This is in charge where the supervisor is?
No, because of the other planets. I think... I think he's somewhere on Aden.
Yeah.
But I think based off of why they were created and the fact that they all have this supervisor tower, I think this is they were created before SM-33 and his captain started showing up.
Right.
So I think it was like I said, a social experiment. So they're like, oh, and stay in line or else the supervisor will be angry, or you're following the supervisor's rules. That's my guess.
I like how they kind of trickle in the fact that SM-33 and his captain had been here before, and that they had a full crew. This explains a lot of stuff that has kind of been hinted at throughout the earlier episodes. We're starting to get answers on some of this stuff, whether it being why the crew on the ship was dead, why the ship was able to get to Aden when it's a hidden planet that no one knows. Somehow SM-33 and his captain found at Akron, got there, got the coordinates, and then we find out SM-33 destroyed the coordinates at Aden, and then the captain ordered him to have the entire crew of the ship killed. And rip them limb from limb, whoever ends up finding out about where at Aden might be. I loved it. It was awesome.
I'm wondering if the captain even made it to the treasure in Aden.
I wonder too, but I feel like he'd be dead, in the captain's chair.
I guess, but we don't know who those skeletons were.
I think it's the crew that 33 killed.
I guess
that's what I mean. That's just me.
But we don't know it for a fact,
right?
And I guess where my brain's going is the ship was buried,
right?
And SM-33 was left in that ship.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he was in a position he was reaching to open or close the doors. So I'm wondering if they landed at Aden and either were attacked.
Maybe they were shot down.
Or you know what I mean? So
maybe the big giant defense turret on top of the school shot them down. And they crashed in the woods. Yeah. I think the captain's alive, though. I think he's somewhere hidden in the society here. Maybe he developed everything on Aden to keep the treasure there and keep the wealth generating within the planet. So in order to do that, you create a society that can function within itself. Because maybe the idea is... Oh, maybe not, though. I was going to say maybe the idea is that if you leave, the planet gets destroyed. But... they left and there was no issue. So I don't know. What's interesting to me is, I keep connecting this to the First Order because that's just my little Star Wars brain feels like everything has to be interconnected. So my theory with that is, so we know that Palpatine had contingency plans, with his death. That's canon. That's Battlefront 2. The campaign explored some of that, some of his contingencies after he died to keep the Empire running. So part of that, you have the First Order in the sequel trilogy, and you're like, well, where did they get all these funds to have this massive military, bright, shiny new armor? Where did they get all this manpower, all these hundreds of thousands, if not millions of soldiers, whether it be officers, stormtroopers, you name it? It's established in the sequel trilogy that the children are taken from their families and made into the stormtrooper corps of the First Order. That's canon, established in the sequel trilogy movies and in encyclopedias and things like that. My thought here is maybe these planets are part of Palpatine's contingency, where you create a society and you have it kind of performing within itself, kind of running its own economy, things like that, so that you can have them come in, the First Order, pretending to be the Republic, and say, hey, we need your people, we need your money to defend against this threat. What I think happened at Akron was a failure of that contingency, in that both sides, both of the tribes, their names escape me because we only watched the episode once, I think, as of recording this, have lots of Imperial armor on. I saw lots of goggles and helmets that the Mud Troopers had from the Solo movie on Mimban. Actually, if you look behind you, their action figures are right here, other side. So this guy, there's that helmet, and then there's these helmets that the generals, the officers wear, and you even see some of these other body armor pieces that Imperial officers and soldiers wear. That kind of leads me to believe, well, why would there be Imperial military pieces and armor on this planet if not the people got savvy to what was going on somehow, and then the Empire had to come in and eradicate the population of people, and then they would have left. They would have pulled out after they confidently felt that they killed everyone. And either way, you still have a population that's trapped on this planet. So then they just are left to their primitive ways, and so they're just now in this constant state of conflict, which is very tribal, and it's very true to all of human history. Yeah. Where just warring factions, kind of like Hatfields and McCoys, they fought over a pig originally. Someone stole a pig, and it to this day, a family feud exists where they kill each other. It's really cool stuff, and I would like to see it connect to the First Order, but I'm so on board with the show that I would be okay with it not going that direction and just being its own self-contained thing. What are your thoughts on that First Order connection theory?
I feel like it is a bigger picture situation because of all of the Old Republic references, with them thinking that it's still the Old Republic, and that part of it, of them not knowing what is going on with the government of the galaxy. And so I do think that there's some type of bigger picture, whether it's Palpatine or or even some weird Senate thing. I don't know. Who knows?
You don't know.
They were weird too,
Yeah.
Everyone's corrupt. The government's corrupt. In Star Wars.
Yeah. Totally just Star Wars. Yeah.
Just Star Wars. And so I agree with you with that. I don't know. I feel like the more I'm thinking about it, it's such a parallel to just any type of institutionalized or commune type of energy with Aden. Definitely. Of bubble living. You don't know what's going on the outside. And I think that's so fascinating. And you're right, thinking about the Stanford prison experiment.
Yeah.
When people are in those types of scenarios. Talking about isolated. Yeah, then they go back to some primitive
way of thinking. They become tribal.
Yeah. It's so that's fascinating to me. But yeah, it's almost this commune of we're happy and we just help the planet and
the great work.
It's almost cultish if you think about it a little deeply.
It's great though because it's still a fun adventure at its root, and you're enjoying the characters through and through. Did you have something else you were saying there, or?
No, that's it.
No, okay. So this episode also had some really great character moments in this show. I think really because with Wim, we got introduced with him in the first couple episodes. We're very familiar with him, his motives, and things of that nature. Neel, obviously, this was Neel's highlight episode. Neel kind of overcomes his fear of fighting, his fear of being brave, and Neel had some great character moments. If you want to talk a little bit about that.
He's the best kid of all.
Neel Nation.
Yeah, he's like, he's the comic relief, but he also is he's the scaredy cat kid.
He is,
he's the chunk character, like
he's
you
the
like
chunk.
to say.
Yep.
So there were so many great moments of him, pushing through his fear, but also
specifically just to interject, before I forget it, the specific Neel chunk moment was when Jod deactivates 33 at the end of the show, and 33 falls on top of Neel while he deactivates. Reminded me so much of how even just the way the shot was done, of when Chunk opens up the ice cream freezer and the dead body falls on top of him. Mm-hmm. That was just, I think, and obviously I think it was intentional. A lot of 80s references are intentional in this show, but sorry to interject. I had to make sure I mentioned that. Yeah, it's one of my favorites.
But I was just going to mention his game.
Woo! Neel's got Riz.
He's chatting up the biddies. He's
as Logan said to me, Neel was risen up the huzz on this last.
Is that what they say now?
That's the new term for biddies. Yeah.
Yeah, because apparently we're old.
Yeah,
we say biddies.
We're unks and aunties now.
Yeah. So him having his little Rizzler moment was so awesome. And I loved the shot after, I don't remember the girl's name now, but the little French girl.
Kana?
Yeah, she's walking away after kissing him on the cheek, and his ear is blowing in the wind and his little tuft of hairs, and he's staring at her all dramatically, and it was just such a great shot after his little moment. And obviously the standout line is him explaining what slap ball was.
I was going to bring that up. That one is that I laughed out loud when he's talking about just throwing his hands around. The physicality that young actor was able to put into that role really sells it.
It's so
really sells
awesome.
It. Yeah.
And it's almost jarring. There's a couple shots where you can see his mouth actually moving because his trunk's always in front of him. And it's almost jarring to see his actual mouth talking because it's just it's a little bit freaky, but it's okay.
I'm getting dust in my trunk.
Yeah. I thought he was going to sneeze and show the other tribe where they were.
Who do you think the statue was of? In that first sequence.
I was thinking, I don't know.
I wonder if it was a Palpatine statue.
I don't know, because it was it almost looked like a trench coat, and I thought it kind of looked like the guy, the leader of the tribe they were talking to, based off of his outfit.
Oh, okay. You think maybe he was important somehow, the supervisor or something?
I don't know, but I could go either way. I mean, it's...
Well, the other thing, too, was they really didn't seem to... The people on At Akron didn't really seem to know how, what any of that in the supervisor's tower was. Mm-hmm. They're calling it, the runes or something like that. They were,
the sacred...
The spectrum or some... Not the spectrum. The sanctum something.
We should have watched that episode.
I know. I'm dang it. The Sanctum Valley. I think that's what it was. But yeah, it was so cool to get that lore there. And Neel really just I already loved him as a character, but this episode, him having character growth and learning lessons about himself, how to be confident and how immediately he gets to use that in the supervisor's tower was great.
Now, wait, hold on. What if the statue is of SM-33's captain?
Oh.
What if they traveled to the different planets and made, like, impacts on the other planets, and he is the supervisor at Aden?
So that's how he's keeping his treasure secret.
Like, he's going pillaging and then moving on.
Maximizing his profits, maybe?
And then, like, since Aden was the last one, he just stayed there.
Interesting. I mean, it makes the most sense. Clearly, his ship was ready to fly, on Aden.
Yeah.
If he needed to make a quick escape.
I don't know.
I'm thinking if it is a pirate thing, maybe that was his way of hiding the treasure.
Yeah.
Was like, I'll create all the people, I'll create a whole planet that just is my treasure, and the treasure will fund the wealth of the planet so it can operate within itself and its own means.
Yeah, but would a pirate want to do that?
If they're satisfied with their treasure and they want to just hide it,
Yeah. I don't know.
That's what One-Eyed Willie did.
Just throwing that out there.
One-Eyed Willie, he hid his treasure, He didn't care to, once he was trapped in the cave.
I don't know a whole lot of pirate lore.
Really?
Like real pirate
Well, the whole thing with pirate lore is they want to have the riches, like,
hidden.
Set forever. That's pretty much it.
Well, I did watch my friend from college do all of Uncharted 4, the pirate one.
Oh, yeah.
Anyone out there, Naughty Dog fans, yeah, Uncharted, I think it's Uncharted 4 is the pirate game. And they end up, Nathan ends up on this pirate utopia, and he has to, like, get through all of the,
Gotcha.
The booby traps.
Booty traps. Booby trap. That's what I said. Man, you guys. Clearly, I've watched
a lot of Goonies.
Clearly, I've watched Goonies several times recently.
But yeah, so that's my only bit of. I really didn't get into pirate lore, which is surprising for me.
I had like a brief pirate phase, like when I was a kid, but it wasn't anything like crazy.
I'm like actually kind of shocked now that I'm having this realization that I didn't.
That you didn't have a pirate phase?
Because like that seems like me.
That's
right?
totally you.
Just reading.
Pirates.
Actually, fun fact. We're detouring. I'm sorry, but
You're fine.
I actually have an old book on my bookshelf right now that has old pirate stories, and I got it from one of our local middle schools that used to be a high school.
And now isn't a school.
No, it's.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
They were clearing out their old books from their library, and it was a free-for-all. You could take all these books. And so I took a bunch of them. I got a pirate shanty book. I got like old Celtic fairy tales.
Yeah.
And then like some other old like Welsh fairy tales and stuff like that. And it's cool. It's my history nerds coming out. Because on the inside they have library cards from like the original library cards.
You showed me this, yeah.
And so it's like from like the 50s. I think the earliest one is from the 50s because this school was around for over 100 years before that it switched to well, that's a lie. I just made up that number. That's not true.
You didn't have to tell the people you were lying, though.
It was open for so long before it switched to a middle school. So yeah, it's like, it's cool because you can see that someone checked out this random pirate shanty book 10 times, once in the 50s and then the 60s, and you can see the history there with like, I don't know. That type of stuff is cool to me.
That is cool.
I used to, at our high school, I used to look at the old yearbooks that were in the library. They had all of them since they first opened. And that school actually was open for 100 years.
Actually, she's not lying. Look at you making this the Jen show when this is clearly the Tommy show. This is the Tommy show all day long.
Sorry, that was a little bit of a
I don't care.
Detour.
I don't care. You're padding that runtime, gotta pad the numbers.
Yeah, so and people apparently they like when I talk. So.
People like when Jen talks.
So that's my little bit of. This is why I'm surprised that I didn't get into pirate stories.
So
anyways,
back to Skeleton Crew. I think one character moment that I really want to highlight here is also Fern's character moment towards the end of the episode here. Fern wants to be like her mom. And I don't think she realizes how much like her mom she is. She wants to be seen as the perfect leader, and that's why she acts the way she does. And she has this moment at the top of the supervisor's tower where she breaks down and kind of has this moment of, can I really do this? The moment of doubt. Wim tries to be the idealistic kid and come up and be like, but you're amazing. And she's like, well, I can be amazing all day, but it doesn't help. And it's very indicative to her relationship with her mom. Her mom's always telling her how great and perfect she is all the time, but that doesn't necessarily mean that she actually feels that way. So it's good stuff. It's good stuff.
I really enjoy that Fern isn't just going to be the mean character. You know what I mean? Or like the sassy, bossy,
I feel like
leader.
I feel like if you know stories, you should know that from the get-go. That she's not just going to be...
You would think so.
But then again, in recent history, in recent years, we've had like... we have the tomboy girl character who's just a mean asshole the entire show.
And then, that's, just her character, and she doesn't learn anything, so... Yeah.
But she's a girl boss. And it's like, that's really not what a strong female character is.
Yeah, so I really... I said this in our female episode.
Getting woke, talking women in Star Wars.
Women in Star Wars episode of, I want to see character depth in any female character, whether it's a woman or a girl.
Yeah.
I want to see that they aren't just going to be a one-dimensional, the mean character or the bossy character or the girl boss character. I want to see that they have that range that any person has.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate that. I also shout out to KB too. I think she had a couple... I wouldn't say standout character moments, but just they're increasing the intrigue on her a little bit. I don't know if you noticed that this episode of they would do a close up on her at certain points, and it's why are we focusing on KB right now? That I'm curious to learn more about her character, and maybe they're gonna kind of focus on each kid as we go through.
I think each one's going to have their own moments. I think Neel was just the first one because Neel is the character that really in this group kind of needed the most building to keep him in the adventure.
Right.
He's the one that wants to go home the most. He's the one that's always belly aching about wanting to go home and not wanting to be out here. So I think it makes the most sense that he needed that moment first. Wim, I think, is honestly the one that probably won't have that much of a character development as far as wanting to be on the adventure till the end, because he's the one that pressed the button.
Yeah, but while you're talking, I was thinking, Wim's the one that needs the most, growth as a kid,
Definitely.
He's
impulsive.
He's impulsive, and and he's a kid. He's a child. And,
stupid idiot kid.
He's, I think, at Aden, he's expected of way too much as a kid. However, there's growth in learning when to get the thing done and not avoid the hard part, and I really appreciate that his he is trying to find the cool thing and everything.
Yeah.
But also it leads to some issues, like
it does.
Being sent off of your planet and into the galaxy with only 3 other children. You know what I mean? Like, that's that's our story, but that's I got anxious. I got anxious when he didn't make it to his test in the first episode. I was like, he needs this. But so I'm excited to see what they do with Wim's character, because what I hope is going to happen is I think he's gonna have a moment that's like, wow, I've been so idealistic, and maybe Jedi aren't real.
Yeah.
Like, he's gonna have one of those moments, but then he's gonna see, like, either Jod's gonna be like, have a come to Jesus moment that's gonna be like, maybe Jedi are real, or like, or there's like some Jedi something, maybe we get a Luke Skywalker cameo, who knows, that he's gonna be like, wait, and he's gonna have that, like, meeting himself in the middle a little bit of, like, he's been way up here this whole time. He's gonna have a low note, because that's what happens in any Act 3 of any story.
Yeah.
And then he's gonna meet himself in the middle of, like, I have responsibilities and I need to, care for my dad because my mom is dead? ?
Mom is something. I still think Mom got taken away because she knew too much.
Which,
that's what I still think.
Who knows where he came up with that?
Who, me? Yeah. What the heck? Maybe she found out about the pirate captain, and the pirate captain got her removed.
She's his wench.
Wench. Maybe she's his wench.
Maybe the pirate captain's a little haughty, and she was like, bye, Wim's dad.
Maybe he's Prince Shizor from Shadows of the Empire and uses his pheromones to make females attracted to him.
Ew, is that a real thing?
It's a real thing from a Star Wars novel in the 90s. Shadows of the Empire. Takes place between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. And Prince Shizor is...
She's a whore?
uses his pheromones to make any woman attracted to him, including Princess Leia in the book.
Oh.
Yeah, he's gross.
Okay.
He actually just got an action figure for Black Series.
Ew, why?
Because a lot of guys that are, read those books in the 90s are nostalgic for those characters.
That character specifically?
He's the bad guy. He's the villain.
I would hope so.
Yeah. He's just the Rizzler.
Darth Rizzler.
Prince Rizzler.
Yikes.
Anyway.
Clearly we're a lot more awake this episode
than we were last time, which I actually heard last episode people enjoyed, so.
That's great, because I was half there. So I appreciate that you were able to understand my coherent thoughts.
We've done that a couple times now. Jinx.
I don't know why I do that. It
is what it is. Let me think. What else is there to cover on this episode? Okay. I really got to say, though, I just want to give one more highlight and shout out to SM33. I almost said Prince Shizor. To SM33. I really, really like, again, talking about how things in the show have been sprinkled in naturally, and then they come back and they have meaning later. SM33, they make him seem like he's so... like his memory circuit is fried because of the rat that lives in his eye, and because of the fact that he's constantly stuttering, or, like I can't say I remember, no, atin. That's his programming. That's what he was programmed to do. Even little things too, like Fern in manipulating 33 throughout the show because she manipulates her nanny droid at home. Everything is intentional, and I love how intentional everything is in the show. But yeah, specifically 33, I loved how how awesome it was that, you know, the can't say I remember was always a ruse to kind of put on this facade that is, his circuits are just fried, so they disregard him, or oh man, like, yeah, no wonder he can't remember where he just was, because his programming won't allow him to say where he just was. It's so great. And I have to say, too, Jod took a real backseat in this episode, which I thought was interesting. This episode really focused on 33, but I liked how Jod, when the pirates, he's taking SM-33 outside, and he's like, all these life forms, like him and his captain remember these life forms. He's like, what are you talking about? Like, and then they all are, and he goes, just shoot me already. I was like, dude, that is too funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then him, like, getting their animals back, and
yes,
that was funny. Yeah, I'm curious to see where Jod's gonna mess up.
Yeah.
Because he's gonna mess up. We know that's gonna happen. But this episode, he was very likable. I think last episode you saw he was, like, kind of scummy.
Yeah.
But this episode, he came back to save the kids. He turned off SM-33, and I know it's because he's trying to get the treasure. Like, I know
because at the end of the day, pirates are in it for themselves. They're not like Hondo. Hondo is not a definitive bad guy or good guy.
Hondo's the supervisor.
Oh, I would lose my little mind.
Hondo's the supervisor.
I would lose my little mind.
That pull up that statue. Can you?
Oh, the golden skull statue. It is totally a weak way.
No, the statue of the guy.
Oh, the statue of the guy. Did we just crack the code? Is it Hondo?
It's Hondo. Hondo wears that big long coat. It's Hondo. You've heard it here first on the Blitzcast.
Let him know, babe. Keep yapping while I pull this up. It's going to take me a minute.
I know that Jod's going to mess up because he's a pirate, and like you said, they're in it for themselves. But I did, it was kind of nice to see.
He's not a bad guy.
He's not a bad guy. Like, but I know he's going to mess up. And then that's where I think Wim's faith is going to crumble a little bit, is seeing this Jedi figure be a scummy pirate. Because
I have to watch an ad for the soap that you buy. Myers. Soap.
Mrs. Myers.
Mrs. Myers soap.
It smells really good. Like the different.
We're too poor to have the cool version of Disney Plus. We've come full circle from cable TV, where when you'd record something on cable, you had to watch commercials in the recording. Now we've come full circle where we're still paying for a service again, and now you have to watch.
You had to watch commercials all the time at cable. What do you mean the recording?
If you recorded something.
Well, if you record something, you could skip through it.
I don't know that it is, because look. So there's the... I guess I can't... It won't let me. So we're watching it right now. It could be, but like, I don't know that it is. He's got like slacks on.
It's Hondo. Confirmed.
Here again. What do you think?
No, I mean,
they make it look like just a dude.
It's just a guy.
Just a guy.
Watch, it's just like a nobody.
No,
someone's dad.
They called attention to it. It's got to be something. Very interesting, though. I'd like to go back and this is going to come back somewhere. Because KB is like staring at it.
That's what I meant by like her little close-ups. And I'm like, why did they do a close-up on her?
She definitely analyzed it, and she'll remember it later. Yeah. That's what it was. Yeah. Very interesting. Very interesting.
I don't know.
So, predictions going into the next episode of The Skeleton Crew. Actually, what do you rate this episode on a scale of 1 to 10? For me, this was like a 9.
Yeah, I was going to say like 8.5, 9.
Yeah.
I think next episode it's going to, like, I think the subplot is going to be them trying to recircuit SM-33 to get his memory back, and without him murdering them, ripping them limb from limb.
Limb from limb.
Limb from Limb is also a Jack's Mom song. Shout out to
Jack's local
mom.
band.
Local band. Shout out to my friends. Sorry, that distracted me. I think they're gonna work on that. I wonder if they're going to go to one of those other planets to see if there's coordinates for Aden at the other planet.
Because it sounds like the pirate captain only went to Akron. So they might go to these other ones. I wonder why they have the coordinates for all these planets in the tower, too. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like a key. Like, here's where where all the other ones are. You know?
Yeah, and I wonder if it is the same at every planet.
Yeah. That was one thing, too, is everything is eerily the same.
Yeah, they knew, like, the kids knew exactly where they were.
Which, again, tells me that these might be plants by, like, the Republic from Palpatine. Yeah. Because they have Republic credits to later use them for an army. So.
How much debt was Palpatine in with all these schemes?
He runs a galaxy, so it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. He runs a galaxy now after the Empire.
He's racking up a lot of cash. That's all I'm thinking about.
He is, yeah. But, yeah. Well, that's going to about wrap it up because I have no other predictions than the Gen right now. I'm interested to see where we go next. Merry Christmas again to everyone that celebrates. This is my favorite time of year. Make sure you spend time with family, spend time with each other. Give gifts, too. I love giving gifts. My favorite part of the season is seeing people's faces light up when you get them a gift that they actually wanted, instead of getting them something that they didn't ask for.
An avocado. Thanks.
Yeah, it's an avocado. My own jar of pickles. Skeletons. That's what I was going to say. Just what I wanted for Christmas. Skeletons. Anyway. It's going to be Cody's first Christmas with us. Shout out to Cody, named after Clone Commander Cody. And everybody be safe on your travels. I know we're getting some more snow up here in our region for Christmas. Jen, any wishes to the Blitz Brigade for Christmas?
Happy holidays. Happy New Year.
It's Merry Christmas.
Well, you didn't say Happy Holidays, so I have to be the PC one.
The PC one.
And to all a good night.
And with that, guys, thanks again for watching another episode of the Blitzcast. Make sure to check out all the links in the description below. Merry Christmas. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you for the next podcast. And may the Force be with you. Believe.